Good morning everyone, and welcome to another tutorial with Cosmos Crochet Corner. Today you're going to learn how to make Bailey the beginner bunny. This is our bunny. As you can see, we've done nice long ears for Bailey. We've got movable arms, movable legs. We've got our cute little belly button and our tail. Now what you will need in order to create Bailey the bunny is you're going to need chunky yarn. You can use any brand that you prefer. I personally use the Pure Gold chunky yarn. I've got a lilac as the main color, some ivory as my secondary color, and a bit of black to use for the embroidery. We've got our stuffing that we're going to need to fill the bunny with. You're going to need a scissor, your row counter, your stitch marker. I've got a small pair of pliers because sometimes your needle gets stuck a bit and that just really helps. Some fishing line to actually attach the arms and legs to the body. I've got some large pins. I've got my tapestry needle, and then I've got two larger upholstery needles that I use to do the needle sculpting and to create the movable limbs. I'm going to be using a 3.5mm hook, and I've also got a 5mm hook that's got a flat tip at the back there. I use that to stuff when the openings are quite small. We will also be using 16mm solid black safety eyes with their backings, and that's everything you will need in order to make Bailey the bunny. So you can get all your things together and then we will take it from there. We're going to start off with the head and body for Bailey the beginner bunny. We start by placing a slip knot on our hook with our main color. You can use any color you like. I'm using lilac. We are then going to chain 3. That's 1, 2, and 3. In the second chain from the hook, we're going to make an increase. So that is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Then in the next chain, we're going to make a 4 single crochet increase, which means we're going to put 4 single crochets into the same stitch. That's number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. Now you'll notice by the time you finish number 4 that you will have turned your chain around and you're now working down the other side of the chain. So in your next stitch, which also happens to be the first stitch that you worked in, you will create an increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same spot. So that brings you to the end of round 1. For round 2, we're going to make 8 increases. That is 1 increase in each stitch. So each stitch from round 1 will get 2 single crochets in it. So that is increase number 1. And then we're going to make 1 increase number 2. Increase number 3. Increase number 4, increase number 5, increase number 6, increase number 7, and in our final stitch we are going to make increase number 8. Which brings us to the end of round 2. For round 3, we're going to be repeating a mini pattern of a single crochet in the first stitch, followed by an increase in the second stitch, and we're going to repeat that pattern 8 times. So stitch 1 gets a single crochet, stitch 2 gets an increase. That's our first repetition. Next stitch gets a single crochet, stitch after that gets an increase. That's our second repetition. Then a single crochet followed by an increase. That's our third repetition. Single crochet followed by an increase. That's our 4th repetition. Single crochet, followed by an increase. That's our 5th repetition. Single crochet, followed by an increase. It's repetition number 6. Single crochet, followed by an increase. Repetition number 7, and then a single crochet, followed by an increase in our last stitch, which gives us repetition number 8. And that brings us to the end of round 3. For round 4, our mini pattern is going to be 2 single crochets followed by an increase, and we're going to repeat that 8 times. So stitch 1 gets a single crochet, stitch 2 gets a single crochet, and stitch 3 gets the increase. That's your first repetition, and you're going to repeat this 7 more times to get to 8 repetitions in total. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, followed by an increase. Single crochet 3, single crochet 4, followed by an increase. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, just getting a little more yarn, followed by an increase. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, followed by an increase. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, followed by an increase. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, followed by an increase, and our final repetition, single crochet 1, single crochet 2, and in our last stitch the increase. That brings us to the end of round 4. For round 5, we're going to do the mini pattern of 3 single crochets followed by an increase, and we're going to repeat that 8 times. So you get single crochet in the first stitch, single crochet in the second stitch, single crochet in the third stitch, and stitch number 4 is this time the one that gets your increase. So that's your first repetition. You need to do that 7 more times to complete the round. So it's single crochet 1, single crochet 2, single crochet 3, followed by an increase. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, single crochet 3, followed by an increase. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, single crochet 3, followed by an increase. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, single crochet 3, followed by an increase. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, single crochet 3, followed by an increase. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, single crochet 3, followed by an increase. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, single crochet 3, followed by an increase. brings us to the end of round 5. For round 6 we're going to be doing 40 single crochets. That's 1 single crochet in each stitch. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Sometimes the wool splits a little bit, then you just have to remake your stitch. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40, which brings us to the end of round 6. Now you'll notice that it's starting to form a little bit of a bowl. This is your inside, this is your outside. The outside is the side that's facing me as I am making my crochets. You can see that they make nice little V shapes. The inside looks a little bit different. You don't really see the V's, and it's got more of a straight line going across there. Now at this point a lot of people start doing this so that the inside ends up on the outside. I purposely bend it so that I keep my outside facing me at all times. It just makes it easier later on when you get to the stuffing. You don't have to worry about turning things inside out. Now for round 7 through 13, so that's round 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13, we're going to do exactly the same thing we just did with round 6 by making 40 single crochets in the round. With each round that you add, you're going to find that this turns more and more and more into a bowl, and it becomes a deeper bowl instead of becoming a larger circle. So because we're doing exactly the same thing over and over, 40 single crochets all around, I'm going to record it for you, but I'll play it on fast forward so that you can see the bowl growing as I crochet. And then we'll meet back at round 40. Okay, we've now completed round 13. Before we start with round 14, I just wanted you to have a look. You can see with each round we went a little bit deeper, so our bowl that's going to end up being our head has gotten nice and deep. We're now going to start with our decreases, so we're going to start going smaller here. If you're not sure how to do a decrease, I do have an individual video on my channel that will show you how to make one. Now for round 14, our mini pattern is going to be 3 single crochets followed by a decrease, and we're going to repeat that 8 times. So stitch 1 gets a single crochet, stitch 2 gets a single crochet, and stitch 3 gets a single crochet. Then we're going to crochet stitch 4 and stitch 5 together with a decrease. So we slip our hook under the front loop of stitch 4, we bend our hook down and slip it under the front loop of stitch 5 so that we've got both those front loops on our hook. We hook the yarn and we pull through both front loops. And that leaves us with 2 loops on the hook. We hook the yarn and we pull through both again to complete our decrease. Now we're going to repeat that 7 more times. So single crochet 1, single crochet 2, single crochet 3, followed by a decrease. This is called the invisible decrease, by the way. That is single crochet 1, single crochet 2, single crochet 3, followed by a decrease, single crochet 1, single crochet 2, single crochet 3, followed by a decrease, single crochet 1, single crochet 2, single crochet 3, followed by a decrease, single crochet 1, single crochet 2, single crochet 3, followed by a decrease, single crochet 1, single crochet 2, single crochet 3, followed by a decrease, and then our final repetition, single crochet 1, single crochet 2, single crochet 3, and across our last 2 stitches we make our last decrease. And that brings us to the end of round 14. For round 15, our mini pattern is going to be 2 single crochets followed by a decrease, and we're going to repeat that 8 times. So stitch 1 gets a single, stitch 2 gets a single, and stitch 3 and 4 get crocheted together with an invisible decrease. And we repeat that another 7 times. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, followed by a decrease. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, followed by a decrease. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, followed by a decrease. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, followed by a decrease. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, followed by a decrease. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, followed by a decrease. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, followed by a decrease. That brings us to the end of round 15. Now, before we do round 16, you're going to have to insert safety eyes. So what I do, just to keep my stitch, is I take my stitch marker and I slip it through the loop that's currently on my hook, and I just lock it closed and take my hook out, That way my stitch is safe and it won't be lost while I'm doing other things. Okay, next we're going to be inserting our safety eyes. As you can see, we've got our little bowl like this. At the top where you started, those 2 dots there, that's your starting chain where you did round 1. We're going to use that as a center line. So we're going to squish the head closed like this, so it becomes a flat shape, and we're going to keep those 2 dots as our center line along which we are actually squeezing the whole thing flat. There we go. Okay, so we've got our rounded shape like that, and you can see it's now a bowl on that side. Now we do this so that we can locate our eyes properly. Take my first pin, I'm going to start counting from here, and I'm going to count down 10 rounds. So that's round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. By round 10, I'm going to insert the pin. Now, we want this pin to be in the center of our half moon shape that we've got at the moment. We can determine that by counting the stitches to either side to make sure we've got it in the middle. So to the right hand side, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stitches. To the left hand side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 stitches. So if we move this pin 1 stitch to the left, we'll have 11 stitches going that way and 11 stitches going that way, so we know that our pin is now in the center of our head. We want our eyes to be inserted 10 stitches apart from each other. So starting from this pin, we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches to the right. Insert a pin where your right hand eye will go. You're then going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches to the left and insert your pin. That's where your left eye is going to go. You can now take out the pin you've got in the middle, and you should have your 2 pins in place like that, where your eyes are going to be. Now, before you insert your safety eyes, make sure that you are happy with the position in which you have placed your pins, that you've got the right amount of rows and they're the right amount of stitches apart, because once you insert the safety eye, it will not come back out again. Now, to insert the eye, I just pull this open a bit again so that I can actually get my fingers on the inside. Take my first safety eye, I lift the pin out a little bit but not all the way, and then I make sure that I push the eye through the exact same hole that the pin was in, and I remove the pin once I'm sure I've got the opening. And you just push the eye through so that its end is sticking out in the inside. Take the second eye, we're going to do exactly the same. Make sure that you are entering at the same place where your pin was, so that your eyes are on the same level. There we go. Once you're at this point, you can again check that you're happy with where your eyes have been placed, that they look correct to you, and once you're satisfied, you can take the backing, pop it on, and just clip it in place by pressing down on it. There we go, and we're going to do the same on the other side. It can be a bit tricky to press the backings down. If you really struggle to get it on, I find us ladies can struggle a little bit with this kind of thing. I generally just get my husband to pop it on when they get a bit too stiff, and he's quite sweet about doing it for me. So the nearest guy you can find, if you can't get it on yourself, will be able to pop it on for you. And there you go. You've got your eyes in place. They're now firmly attached and they are not going to be coming out. So you can open your little bowl up again, and then we're going to carry on crocheting from there now that our eyes are in place. For round 16, our mini pattern is going to be a single crochet followed by a decrease, and we are going to repeat that 8 times. So stitch 1 gets a single crochet, stitch 2 and 3 get crocheted together with a decrease. That's your first repetition. I'm going to repeat that another 7 times. Let's make sure my stitch marker is properly in place. Sometimes your hook will slip out of your yarn. Don't panic, just pop it back in and carry on. So it's single crochet followed by a decrease, and a single crochet followed by a decrease, 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 and our final repetition, single crochet followed by a decrease. That brings us to the end of round 16. For round 17, our mini pattern is going to be 2 single crochets followed by a decrease, and we're going to repeat that 4 times. So stitch 1 gets a single crochet, stitch 2 gets a single crochet, and stitch 3 and 4 get crocheted together with a decrease. And we're going to repeat that 3 more times. That's single crochet number 1, single crochet number 2, followed by a decrease, single crochet number 1, single crochet number 2, followed by a decrease, single crochet number 1, single crochet number 2, and our final decrease. That brings us to the end of round 17. For round 18, we're going to do 12 single crochets, that is 1 in each stitch. So that's number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Which brings us to the end of round 18. Now before we carry on with round 19, we're going to be stuffing the head, so I'm again slipping my stitch marker into the loop I've got on the hook, so I can remove my hook and stuff safely without worrying about losing my place. Okay, it's now time to stuff the head, so you need to get your stuffing close by. basically just going to take handfuls of stuffing and you're going to push it into the narrow opening that you've got at the neck. It is quite a small opening, but you should be able to get at least one finger through it to help you push the stuffing in. Now, the best stuffing I find is to go and buy the throw pillow inners, the cheapy ones that you get that's got synthetic stuffing in them. And I just cut those open, and they actually have the smoothest, softest, best stuffing on the inside, and it actually in the long run works out cheaper than buying stuffing specifically made for this purpose. Now you're just going to keep inserting stuffing. You can see it's still very empty if you look at it like that. We are trying to create a nice firm round little ball, sort of tennis ball sized and shaped. So you're just going to keep adding stuffing until you achieve the goal, a little bit at a time. At the beginning it doesn't really matter so much how you do the stuffing, because you're just trying to fill up the space. We'll start with a shaping a little bit longer. At this stage I'm just randomly pushing the stuffing in. You can see it's slowly starting to take shape as it's becoming a little bit fuller. Just keep adding more and more. Now, it is entirely possible to crochet the perfect piece with the perfect tension and everything's just wonderful. I mean, you do a bad job stuffing and you mess up the entire thing and all that effort is wasted. So when it's stuffing time, please do take your time with it. Make sure you do it nicely and evenly, because it will make a world of difference at the end of the day. Now at this point we're starting to get a bit of shape. I want a nice rounded effect there, so I'm starting to use my thumb on the inside like that to really push the stuffing to the top to create that rounded effect at the top. And you'll find your stuffing compresses as you press on it, making room for more stuffing at the bottom. We don't want to understuff and we don't want to overstuff, so I'll show you just now how to test. At this point there's still lots of room in there, so we can't test yet. You want to make sure that you get your head nice and full. Now you want to make sure that your shape is nice and smooth and round. You don't want any dents where there's no stuffing, and you don't want any pieces that like push out and make a little bump where you've got too much stuffing. So just keep maneuvering the stuffing towards the sides. Use your fingers to make sure that you're spreading it nicely and it's going everywhere that it's supposed to be. At this point I'm actually using my thumb to push to the side like that. Once I'm on the inside, to make sure that I give a nice and rounded shape to the head. And you'll find that this part really can change the shape that you crochet depending on how you put the stuffing in. You can end up with a flat little square if you don't work on rounding it, or you can end up with a nice round little head if you carefully insert and push to all sides, as I am doing. Now, when it comes to understuffing and overstuffing, you don't want to be able to see the stuffing through the stitches. The moment you can see the stuffing through the stitches, you know you've overstuffed. But we also don't want to understuff, which means we don't have enough stuffing in. So how we test is you take your thumb and you press on it like that. If you're not able to make a dent like my thumb's making at the moment, then you've got too much stuffing in there. If you should be able to make a dent. Now the trick to know if you've got enough stuffing is when you let go. Do you see that my dent just bounced out? Let me do it from this side. Press in, there's the dent, let go. Do you see how it bounces back? When it bounces back like that into the shape, then you've got the right amount of stuffing in there. If it stays a dent and it doesn't bounce back, then you still have too little stuffing in there and you need to put some more stuffing in there. So at this point, you just check all the way around to make sure you don't have any dents and to make sure that everything's nice and smooth. You can also use your hands on the outside like this. This type of pressure that you put on it from the outside can really help to round and shape your head and get everything nice and even. So this is what it should look like at this stage, and then we're going to carry on crocheting from there. For round 19, we're going to follow a mini pattern of a single crochet followed by an increase, and we're going to repeat that 6 times. Now you might find it a little difficult to crochet this first round because you have now stuffed, so your angle is going to have changed and the way you hold it is going to be a little bit different. Just take it slowly and keep at it. So stitch 1 gets a single and stitch 2 gets an increase, so that's 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So that's our first repetition. We're going to do that 5 more times to complete the round. So it's a single crochet followed by an increase. And a single crochet followed by an increase. Single crochet followed by an increase. Single crochet followed by an increase. You'll find it gets easier as you move further away from the head that you've already stuffed. And a single crochet followed by an increase in our final stitch. So increase number 6. And that brings us to the end of round 19. For round 20, we're going to do 18 single crochets. That's 1 in each stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and our final stitch, number 18, which brings us to the end of round 20. For round 21, our mini pattern is going to be 2 single crochets followed by an increase, and we're going to repeat that 6 times. So stitch 1 gets a single crochet, stitch 2 gets a single crochet, and stitch 3 gets an increase. That's our mini pattern, and our first repetition, we're going to do that 5 more times to get to the end of a round. So it's single crochet number 1, single crochet number 2, followed by an increase. Single crochet number 1, single crochet number 2, followed by an increase. Single crochet number 1, single crochet number 2, followed by an increase. It's going to get a little more yarn. Single crochet number 1, single crochet number 2, followed by an increase. Single crochet number 1, single crochet number 2, and in our final stitch we make our final increase. That brings us to the end of round 21. For round 22, we're going to make 24 single crochets, that is 1 in each stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and our final stitch, number 24. That brings us to the end of round 22. For round 23, we're going to do a mini pattern of 3 single crochets followed by an increase, and we're going to repeat that 6 times. So stitch 1 gets a single, stitch 2 gets a single, stitch 3 gets a single, and stitch 4 gets the increase. And we're going to repeat that 5 more times. So it's single 1, single 2, single 3, followed by an increase, single 1, single 2, single 3, followed by an increase, single 1, single 2, single 3, followed by an increase, single 1, single 2, single 3, followed by an increase, single 1, single 2, single 3, followed by an increase. That brings us to the end of round 23. For round 24, we're going to make 30 single crochets. That's 1 in each stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and our final stitch, number 30. That brings us to the end of round 24. Now for round 25 and round 26, you're going to be doing exactly the same thing, making 30 single crochets going all the way around. So we're going to show you that in fast forward. For round 27, we're going to follow a mini pattern of 3 single crochets followed by a decrease, and we're going to repeat that 6 times. So stitch 1 gets a single, stitch 2 gets a single, and stitch 3 gets a single, stitch 4 and stitch 5 get crocheted together with a decrease. So that's our first repetition. We're going to do this 5 more times. It's single 1, single 2, single 3, followed by a decrease, single 1, single 2, single 3, followed by a decrease, single 1, single 2, single 3, followed by a decrease, single 1, single 2, single 3, followed by a decrease, single 1, single 2, single 3, followed by a decrease. And that brings us to the end of round 27. For round 28, we're going to follow a mini pattern of 2 single crochets followed by a decrease, and we're going to repeat it 6 times. So stitch 1 gets a single crochet, stitch 2 gets a single crochet, and stitch 3 and 4 get crocheted together with a decrease. Repeat that 5 more times. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, followed by a decrease. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, followed by a decrease. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, followed by a decrease. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, followed by a decrease. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, followed by a decrease, which brings us to the end of round 28. Now we're going to be doing a little bit of stuffing next, so I'm again just slipping my stitch marker into the loop that's on the hook. Okay, at this point we're going to be doing a little bit of stuffing for this neck area here. We don't want to fill the entire body, we just want to stuff this area really firmly because that's the part that holds the head up, and we want to leave the bottom part empty so that we've still got some room to work. Now we're just going to take a bit of stuffing and you're going to push it in and make sure that you really get it into this neck area that you've got so that it's a nice and firmly stuffed neck that's able to actually hold the head up once you have closed up the entire body. And you can see as I'm pressing, almost my whole thumb is still going in, despite the fact that I've added some stuffing, so it's not full at all. It looks full, but it actually isn't. I've just made it nice and firm in this area so it can hold up the head. And that's all you want to do with your stuffing at this point. For round 29, our mini pattern is a single crochet followed by a decrease, and we're going to repeat that 6 times. So stitch 1 gets the single crochet, and stitch 2 and 3 get crocheted together with a decrease, and repeat that 5 more times. Single crochet followed by a decrease. 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 Single crochet followed by a decrease across our last 2 stitches of a round. And that brings us to the end of round 29. For round 30, we are going to make 6 decreases in a row. So stitch 1 and 2 gets decrease 1, stitch 3 and 4 get decrease 2, stitch 5 and 6 get decrease 3, stitch 7 and 8 get decrease 4, stitch 9 and 10 get decrease 5, and stitch 11 and 12 get decrease number 6, which is our final decrease. We are then going to finish off by making a slip stitch in the next stitch. So you go into the stitch, you hook your yarn, you pull it back through the stitch and through the loop that you've got on your hook. So you pull through both at the same time, and that is what we call a slip stitch. we're going to just cut our yarn tail off. We don't need a very long one because we're not going to be doing any sewing with this yarn tail. And once you've cut it, you just pull on your hook until the yarn tail pops through and you pull tight. Now that is the end of the crocheting part. All we have left to do is to crochet our body. Oh, I'm sorry, not to crochet our body, is to finish stuffing our body. Now our body does have some stuffing in it already and it can look quite stuffed, but you'll see if you press on it, it's just, there's not enough in there. Now we have closed off, but this is where my 5mm hook comes into play. I find that it fits perfectly into that space that we've got left after finishing to crochet. So I use this to stuff the body firmly through that tiny little opening. You just take a small amount of stuffing, put it over the opening, and then use your hook to push it in. Chopsticks or anything that's got a flat end would work equally well. You don't necessarily need to have a 5mm hook with a flat end to do this. The reason we do this, especially with beginners, is your tension. It's very difficult to learn to maintain the correct amount of tension, particularly when you are making decreases and going smaller and smaller. Now, if you stuff first and then you crochet, you will generally end up with big holes in between your decreased stitches and your stuffing will show through no matter how little stuffing you put in. And that can be very frustrating and can really ruin your result that you have gotten. So I've found that if you do your decreases first and then you stuff through this tiny little opening, which takes a little bit of patience, you get a much more even tension. You don't get those big holes with the decreases, and you get a much neater looking result at the end of the day. So I'm using my hook the same way I used my thumb when we stuffed the head, by going to the sides as I'm on the inside, adding more and more stuffing to get the body nice and firmly stuffed. So you can see it's quite a bit of stuffing that's still going in there at this point. You'll find if you take too much stuffing you won't be able to push it in with your hook, so rather take smaller bits at a time and push it in than trying to take a large chunk and push that in, because that just won't work. It'll just sit there and go nowhere. So if you're struggling to get it in, you've got too much stuffing on the outside, just make it a smaller pile and you'll find it starts going in. You'll notice I am turning my body as I work to make sure that I'm stuffing into every direction of the body, because again we want a nice even and round result for our body, same as we did for our head. We don't want it to be more stuffed to one side than to the other. I suspect we've reached the point of fully stuffed. Can I make an indent? Yes. Does it bounce back? Yes. There we go. So at this point I just use my hands to help me shape it by squishing on it to make sure that I've got a nice even result. Make sure that I'm happy with my head, that's nice and even too. And this is what you should have so far. Weird little purple alien waiting to become a bunny. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to close up this last little hole that we used to stuff. So you just put your short little yarn tail on your tapestry needle, and then you're going to take your needle and you're going to weave in and out through the stitches around that opening, all the way around. And once you've gone all the way around, you just pull tight and you'll see your opening disappears completely. At this point, I stick my needle down the middle and I just have it come out in any random stitch on the body. Pull my yarn tail through, and that's the body neatly finished off. Just leave this yarn tail hanging down. You're going to use it later to tie off your muzzle. So this is your head and body so far. Put it aside for now. We're going to use it just now.